when you sit down to meditate, do you come with an intention then each time?
No, once I sit down, then I ask my intuition, hey, what is it that you want to be doing today? What is it that you need today? So we all have this intuition, which is different than our instinct. But this intuition, right, it's what we know before we think. And so when I sit down, I say, okay, hey, what's the intention for today? And sometimes the intention is to just let go and see what happens. Sometimes the intention is I'm searching for an answer. Sometimes the intention is, well, today focus, today let go, today just breathe. So I just listen. It's the art and the subtle science of paying attention.
So I asked John that question a year ago when we did our live stream because I was really struggling with meditation. I believe in the science of meditation. I believe in the impact on the brain. I believe in all of the data that comes out on it, but I could never make it work for me. And I was doing it more to discipline than anything else, to say, okay, 10 minutes meditation every day. Here's what happens to your brain. Here's what happens to your life. Again, believe it. So I'm going to just go do it and discipline my way through it. But I never felt any of the benefits of it. And would do the typical things of judging myself. Am I doing this right? There's no right meditation. And so I went on a spurt of asking people who did this, regularly, like John, and ask them their process, right? So do you have an intention? What do you do when you sit down? What are you thinking about? What's the goal? That process was really helpful for me because it led me to where I'm at now. And so whenever you don't know what you're doing, you model success, right? Like, hey, you want to get a result here. I suck at X. How do I get better? Go talk to people who are doing it, who are great at it. And their path may not be the exact path for you, but it gives you clues, right? And talking to John and talking to other people, I didn't do meditation exactly like they did it, but it gave me clues to then find my own path. And so here's what I'm doing now. If you struggle with meditation, first off, if meditation works for you, amazing. Keep doing it. Put it as part of your morning routine. Especially if you're feeling stressed out or anxious or worried, or your thoughts are a mess. If you don't have clarity of thought, that can be really helpful for you. If you struggle with meditation though, I'll share my experience, and maybe it gives you a different perspective, a different insight, because I really struggled a lot with this over the past few years until finding this moment that I'm at right now. So it was exciting. I haven't talked about this really before. So one of the things that I really found helpful for me is I needed something more active. I needed to be more active. So meditation, just sitting down on a pillow or the bed or whatever, was too passive for me. Not that I couldn't do it and I could force myself to do it, but it was too passive in that I come up with my best thoughts. I have my best energy. I'm most in the zone when I'm doing something active. I need to be moving. So what I did was turn that 10 minutes or whatever of just sitting down to moving, to going outside. And I've created a new part of my routine that I call Believe Walks, where pretty much every morning I go for a walk. There's a lot of science behind getting fresh air, getting sunshine first thing in the morning, how it helps you set you up for the day, puts you in a better mood, helps you sleep better. There's a lot of data behind all that. So I thought, hey, why not go outside and do a walking meditation? And I took this idea from Robin Sharma, asked him about his process too, and he goes on these walking meditations. Like that feels a lot more right for me. It feels a lot more Evan than sitting on a pillow. So I started doing these walks, and there's no stated goal, like I need to feel this by the end of the walk. But getting outside, even cold now, it's cold here in Toronto. It's winter. We got some snow outside here on the streets. And I'll take a 20-pound backpack and I go rucking while I walk. And it's a minimum of 20 minutes. And so I get my exercise. I'll usually go to a coffee shop, get a coffee. And I'll start just by looking at the intention for the day. What's the intention for the day? So if I look at a day like today, it's a Tuesday filming this, it's my YouTube day. I want to make great content. I want to make videos that inspire people. I want to make videos that help people make a shift in their life. I want this to be my best video day of all time. Just quick little intention for the day. And then I'll go for the walk with an open mind and just see what comes. And learning not to judge what comes is basically all the advice I was getting when I was doing meditation, but now feels more applicable when I'm walking. So I walk with an intention, and then you see where the mind goes. That, okay, here's something new I want to add to the videos, or here's a new person I want to profile, or here's some new content that I want to make. When you allow your mind to be open to be creative, when you're not too over scheduled, right? I mean, this is part of my schedule, but you're scheduling in open creative freedom time, then you come up with some amazing ideas, and also gets you set up to have a great intentional day. So I have at least 20 minutes, but it goes up to an hour, depending on how I'm doing. And so there are some days where I get all my stuff done really quickly. I'm ready to go. Boom, let's go. Let's start making. I don't need anything more. I don't need more thinking about this. I'm in action mode. Let's go create. So then it's like run as fast as I can to get my coffee, come back and get to work. And there are other days where I'm I don't know, I'm feeling the energy is a lot more creative. I'm thinking of an idea. I want more time to process it. And so I'll go longer. You know, I'll go up to an hour just walking around, keep thinking about the idea, emailing myself some new thoughts. There'll be other days where I feel I want to create more connection. So I will open up my Instagram and start doing video DMs for people. I'll look at who followed me recently, look at who commented on my stuff recently, look at who messaged me, and I will make 8 to 15 second videos to people to say, hey, thank you so much for following me, or thank you so much for the message. Thank you so much for sharing my story to your audience. I appreciate you so much. Believe, next. And those make a meaningful difference for a lot of people. And so what I find helpful about it is it's scheduled into my calendar, just like the meditation was. It's scheduled into my calendar, but it's not a fixed time, that it can be as short as I want or as long as I want. At some point I need to come home. I'm not wiping away my entire day. I don't book anything until at least 10:30. 10:30 is the earliest start where I have things booked into my calendar. So if I need to go longer and be more creative, I have that time. And then just paying attention to how I'm feeling. So I have an energy or intention for the day, right? Like intention for this walk. I want to create the best YouTube videos I've ever made. And then just see what flows. And sometimes this is where I used to judge myself. Sometimes the ideas flow and it's amazing, and sometimes they aren't. And it kind of takes you in a different direction. And that's okay. You know, like if my intention is to create amazing YouTube videos, maybe on my walk I come up with an amazing idea for what to do in future videos. Or maybe I don't, and I'm just drawing a blank, but I'm feeling the need for connection, so I'll go and switch gears and start making Instagram DMs for people. That's okay. You're giving yourself what you need, right? It's the listening to the intuition and what's coming to you and feeling what you need, and then going off and doing that thing and giving yourself the time to do it. So that has completely shifted my life. When people say, what's the best investment, or how should I spend $1,000 if I had, this is what I would spend $1,000 on, my coffee. You know, like that walk cost me $2 something a day, so it's under, just under $1,000. That's the best money that I spend every year now, because it allows me to be insanely effective. Not always efficient, because creativity is messy, but highly effective. And so on the days where I'm being very creative and coming up with ideas, I have the time to do that. And on the days when I'm not being super creative, I can go be productive and get what I need. So it's the courage. It takes courage, to listen to what you actually need and then go off and do it. So that's one that really helped me. So walking, Believe walks is my meditation pretty much every day. The other thing that really helped me is just recognizing that everything is meditation. That a lot of meditation is just being present. That while you're doing something else, you're doing a million other things in your mind, right? And Thich Nhat Hanh, who recently passed, had this great quote about when you're washing the dishes, you wash the dishes. So the story was he's at his retreat and one of his students are there, and Thich Nhat Hanh was going to do the dishes, and the guy said, hey, I'll do the dishes for you. He said, oh, thank you. But while he's doing the dishes, he's trying to listen on the conversation and thinking of what to do next. And Thich Nhat Hanh told him, no, wash the dishes to wash the dishes. That when you're washing the dishes, that's all you're doing. You're not thinking about what's next. You're there washing the dishes. So it's every moment is a chance to be present. If you look at meditation as just presence, you can practice that at any moment. Right now, All I'm doing is making the video for you. This is meditation. Making this video is active meditation for me because I'm only present here with you making this video. What am I doing next? I don't know. I guess making another video. What am I doing when I get home later today? I don't know. I'm not even thinking about it. What day is it of the month? I have no idea. When people ask me how old I am, I have to think about what year it is to do the calculation because it's just present-minded. So any moment can be a chance to bring it back to present. Any moment is an opportunity to be in meditation because you're just in this present moment doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, as opposed to only thinking, oh, meditation is 15 minutes on the pillow every morning. So I think that is a incredibly powerful part of anybody's routine. If traditional meditation works for you and you do a guided meditation or do music or nature or whatever, and you do it in the morning or evening or lying down or sitting down, and that's what I would call more traditional meditation. If that works for you, amazing. Keep doing it. Go for it. It's awesome. If it doesn't work for you though, and you're finding a hard time connecting to it or figuring out the value, you believe in it, but it's just not working for you, then I'd encourage you to try those two things that we just talked about. Something more active. Go for a walk in the morning. Mine are believe walks. You can call it whatever you want, where you set an intention and you just let your mind drift. You let the ideas come to you as it comes to you without having to check your text and emails and everything else. And you'll come up with, I believe, some amazing ideas, especially being out in nature, getting some sun. And then two, you can always have any moment, whenever you're feeling stressed out or overwhelmed, if you're sitting here in the car and you're stressed out and overwhelmed, you can always use it as a chance to get back to present. Everything you do can be meditation. So let me know if that works for you. I'd be curious to hear your insights. I really struggled with this for years and again, sought out experts and tried to get their perspective, and this has been a solution that has really worked for me, and I hope it helps you too. Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
In 2021, we know all the marketing and selling ways to make more money. So your problem is not that the how-to doesn't exist. Your challenge is not that the how doesn't exist. The challenge is you may be focusing on the wrong things. You may be focusing on what is. You may be focusing on the problems. You may be focusing on the wrong things when all of the how-to, okay, is readily available. I'm curious, can you answer what is the revenue goal that you have for 2021 for your business? What's the revenue goal you have for 2021 in your business? And I'm going to see that. So let's come up with, we set a goal first, okay? If we set a goal between now and the end of the year, and we come up with a plan of how we're going to generate enough leads. Here's a question that I want to ask each of you. I'm going to take you to another part of your brain, and this is the logical deductive reasoning part of your brain. Let's say you have a number that you want to achieve by the end of the month, by the end of the year, excuse me. Do you know how many leads you need, how many prospects you need, and how many sales you need to make in order to achieve that number? How many leads do you need this month, next month, the month after that? How many sales do you need this month, next month, the month after? Do you know the math to getting there? Yes, it's a yes or no question, okay? Do you know the math of how many people do you need to get your product, service, or offering in front of? And do you know your conversion number? I gave you the success formula earlier, right? Traffic times conversion equals revenue. Do you know how much traffic you need or prospects you need based on your conversion number to be able to achieve the goal that you want? Zulika, No, if you don't know that number, then you are using the drug of choice to build your business. Can anybody tell me the drug of choice to building a company? Can you tell me the drug of choice to building a company? All right. Hopium. I hope I make that amount of money. I pray that I make that amount of money. I'd really love to make that amount of money. Hopium is not a good strategy. So understand this, okay? If you're in business, you need to understand a little bit of math. So if your conversion is 0, that means you need to upgrade your selling skills and possibly your offer. So you have to know the math, and then you have to determine, where am I going to get the prospects that want what I have to offer? Setting goals is an intellectual and imagined exercise that your conscious brain, right? I'm going to show you one of the little brains today from the sitting here on my desk. Your conscious brain, left prefrontal cortex specifically, where you get to choose. What is it you would love to have your life be like? What is the imagination, of the ideal life that you'd like? He says everybody could do that. He says, but achieving goals happens as a result of having the right beliefs, perceptions, habits, attitudes at the non-conscious level, where all of the habits reside. Part of the hippocampus, part of your brain that drives your automatic behavior day in and day out, is what is going to determine whether you achieve those goals or not. He says using willpower to achieve goals is like using gunpowder. It's just a starter. Using resilience or using your imagination, those are all really good conscious abilities that anybody can use. He says, but if you don't develop the habits at the non-conscious level, which include your self-image for how you see your life, you're never going to achieve those goals.
When I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I moved from Israel to Montreal. I spoke Hebrew, but not English or French. And for 2.5 years, I felt dumb. I felt like I wasn't smart enough and I wasn't good enough, and I was made fun of as a kid. That led to me being involved in street gangs from the age of 12 to 16.
Wow. In Montreal?
In Montreal.
Wow.
We trafficked drugs from Florida. We did break-in entries. We had a little street gang, about 12 of us that just got into a lot of trouble. My path was either jail or the morgue, one of the two. And there's a lot of successful people that have that kind of a story for some strange reason. And at 19, I met a mentor. His name was Alan Brown. He was a real estate developer.
Still in Montreal?
No, this was I moved from Montreal after years of turbulence. I finally broke free and moved from Montreal to Toronto, which is about 350 miles.
Gotcha. In Canada
and
still.
Canada, yeah. And May 1980, I took my real estate course. June 20th, 1980, I became licensed as a real estate agent. And the reason I did is I met a man the weekend before that my brother introduced me to, who was into personal development.
Yeah.
And he was into, Zig Ziglar and Dennis Waitley and Brian Tracy's, 35 years ago. And he introduced me to this world of the mind, introducing me to the world of changing my beliefs, changing my habits, changing my perceptions of first, who are you? And he really helped me see that, the spiritual greatness within everybody, the intelligence that's within everybody. He had me start with getting in touch with that. And it was very philosophical and didn't have the evidence that we have today on affirmations, visualization, meditation, mindfulness, subliminal programming, habit creation, and all of the different methodologies that we've all heard about, whether it was the astronauts that went to the moon initially that trained their brains, or the musicians that have, or the athletes that do. The science now is just so phenomenal on what is actually happening. And so as I was building my own companies, I built my companies by training my employees not on the skills that they needed, but on how spectacular they were as human beings. And the greatness was within them. And if they trained their brain to have the belief That is, they may not have the skill or the know-how, but if you have the belief that I can, I will, I must.
You can build the habit.
You can
start
build the
taking action.
habit. You can start to. If you think about this, I don't care if we asked any question on health, wealth, relationships, career, business, spirituality, we wanted to find the answer to something.
Yeah.
We could Google it and within minutes have everything we want to know about it.
Tutorials, everything we need.
Tutorials, videos, audios, how to, step-by-step, blueprint, color coordinated, whatever you want. So our problem isn't how to. All the how to exists. How to build a business exists. How to be a great lover exists. It all
Everything.
exists.
How to get in shape. Yes.
Right. So I wanted to focus on, how do I help more people take more of the action they know they should be and want to? We have this phenomenal brain, right? It's genius abilities. We can't figure out how to replicate it anywhere with billions of dollars, but we are getting some of the user's manual now. So when you feel fear, what should you do? I teach the first 2 exercises that I teach every one of our students. Number 1 is called Take 6, Calm the Circuits. So if you have this unpleasant, anxious, fearful emotion, energy in motion, right? And it's unpleasant and the brakes have gone on, if you just take 6 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth like you're breathing through a straw, you will deactivate the stress response center, which means blood is going to go back to the left prefrontal cortex. The Einstein part of the brain can actually think through this problem, because what happens when the stress response center is activated, blood goes away from that into the fear response, so you have epinephrine, cortisol, adrenaline to be able to get you out of the situation. It's part of our instinctual brain, part of the reptilian brain. The first part of the brain that was developed was that, then the mammalian brain, the limbic system, then the neocortex, the thinking brain. So when our brain has this signal of, oh my God, you might get hurt, you might lose this, you might get in trouble, you might be embarrassed, ashamed, ridiculed, judged, etc., that part of the brain is going to get activated. So if you take 6 deep breaths first, calm down, calm the circuits first, then do exercise number 2 is called AYA, A-I-A. The first A is for awareness. What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? What am I sensing right now? What is my behavior right now? So you thoughts, feelings, sensations, awareness of behavior. What's my intention right now? That's the I. Well, my intention is to move forward. I want to do this. Great. What's one very small action step that you can take? Now, the reason you want to take one small action step is one small action step your brain can handle. If it's one small step towards it, the threat response goes away. But if you focus on the end game right away, you're going to get that rush and that instant trigger of the fear response, stress response. So the first thing you want to do is learn how to manage your mindset and what you focus on. Learn how to manage your emotions, because they drive your behavior more than anything else, because we move away from pain and we move towards pleasure, but we move away from pain 1,000 times faster. And pain wires in the brain faster for survival mechanisms. So purely from a neuroscience perspective, just understanding self, once you understand, oh, okay, this feeling is normal. Okay, what should I do? Take 6, calm the circuits, Aya, and now you can start being progressive and make progress towards what you want. Are you interested in achieving that vision for your life? Are you interested in achieving those goals, or are you committed? Are you interested or are you committed? And I didn't know what the difference really was at the time. And so I asked him, Mr. Brown, what's the difference? And he said to me, he says, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're interested, you'll use the fact that you didn't like school and you didn't do well in school to control your thinking and your self-esteem. He said, if you're interested, you'll come up with stories and excuses why you can't achieve those goals and dreams that you shared with me. You'll come up with stories and excuses as to why you don't want to do the work necessary to grow and to learn what you need to learn. He says, however, if you are committed, he says, you will do whatever it takes. You will upgrade your knowledge, you'll upgrade your skills, you'll become who you need to become, and you'll learn from whoever you need to learn to be able to achieve those goals and dreams. So
Lesson number 1 is no matter what goal or vision you have, ask yourself that question, okay? Are you interested in achieving that goal and dream? Or are you really, really, really committed and willing to do whatever it takes?
A lot of people are stressed right now. Why? Text, phone, mobile, radio, TV, Facebook, Twitter, all this. It's just non-stop stress in the brain. And when the brain feels stressed, then obviously cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine kick in, and that's a stress hormone. Well, it's like having, your finger on the electricity button all day long and just not stopping. So you start to burn the fibers, your nerves. While you're in the what am I thinking, feeling, it's a chance to be aware. And the biggest gift we have as human beings is our awareness. Because awareness is what gives you choice, and choice is what gives you freedom. Most people are living their lives in a reactive state, automatic reactive state, because of these set points that we started talking about. So we're in this repetitive cycle over and over and over and over. We react to the same things, we behave the same way, we eat the same foods, we dress the same way, just to maintain that homeostasis and comfort zones. And we've never been taught. Like when were we taught it as kids? Like, here are your 6 core emotions. Here's the way you deactivate your stress center or fear center. Here's how you activate your imagination center. Here's how you have more focus. Here's how you develop a new belief. Here's how you develop a new habit. Here's how you release one. We haven't been taught that. We've been told they're important things, but we haven't been given the tools, and then we haven't practiced the tools enough to be able to make them part of our unconscious competence brain. We started to retrain our agents' brains after we did an event. 75 agents paid, I think it was $2,000 or $3,000 to go through a 6-month brain retraining program. Huh. Those 75 agents increased our sales by $100 million.
Wow.
And we said, okay, we're going to teach this to the entire company.
Yeah.
So we went from $1.2 billion to $4.5 billion in sales a year in 3 years by working on this versus what they needed to do.
What you'll see is just patterns and more patterns. The entire universe is made up of patterns that could be explained mathematically for the most part, but we can also just see behaviors. And so it's not difficult, but it takes effort to be able to override some of the natural, brain's propensity, the brain's desire to keep us away from hurting ourselves.
To re-educate our brain.
Yeah. And if you think about, when we're young, what do our parents do? Oh, be careful. Oh, don't fall down. Oh, watch out how you ride the bicycle. And if you fall down, well, my kids, when they were young, I let them fall and I let them do things so that they would get accustomed to get up. I wouldn't go and baby them. Yes. They'd fall down. It was like, great, you fell down, get back up.
Because they learned that it's okay.
Yeah, most kids, when they fall down, they'll look at an adult to see, well,
is it okay or not?
Is it okay or not? And usually the adults are either going to baby them and overcompensate, or they're going to look at them and say, come on, get up and do what you need to do. What is a belief? And let's go to, again, I just like to go to the neuroscience field because it's just my passion now, is a belief is nothing more than a group of cells that have been connected and then reinforced. And we have 2 types of beliefs. We have beliefs that
Really fast, I'm going to stop you there because that's so important.
Okay. Yeah.
And so different than I would have expected. I think when people hear belief, it is believe in something that is true, which did not enter into your definition.
No, we believe, whatever we believe is truth for us, but it's not the truth.
That's really interesting.
Right, but we have been conditioned, if we go back a little bit to what we talked about earlier about, when you were a baby, when you were born, what belief did you have? 0, right. Goose egg, 0, not 1. And so you learned what to believe and how to even formulate your beliefs, chances are from parents, teachers, brothers, sisters, television, maybe when you read some books, right? And we behave based on what we believe. So we might be behaving our lives away based on false or inaccurate or disempowering beliefs. So if a belief is a neural pattern in the brain, then we probably have some good ones, empowering ones, useful ones, and chances are we have some that are not useful, not empowering, and not worthy of the geniuses that we all are. So the question is it possible for me to develop new beliefs that I don't believe right now? The answer is yeah. The key factors to becoming a loser.
Let's imagine that together we build a training to help people
to become a loser.
Yeah.
Repeatedly thinking, feeling, and doing the wrong things every day.
Okay, great things.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have another one?
Hanging around with the wrong people. Your environment.
Is it working?
Your environment shapes who you are.
Okay.
Very, very much. When I was getting into trouble as a young man, the people that I was hanging around with were also getting into trouble. When I was a little boy, I remember my father, he used to tell me, he says, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be the sum of the people that you invest the most amount of time with. Whether it's at home, your friends, your family, or your business people. So if you tend to be around winners, you'll start to, by sheer environmental factors, listen and learn how they think. You'll be able to observe what they do. You'll learn the skills that they've acquired. And if you hang around with losers, you'll see patterns. Everything in life is about a pattern. And so people who are unsuccessful and losers, which I don't even like to use the term loser, although there are some, not a lot, they have got habitual patterns of destruction, self-sabotaging thoughts and self-sabotaging behaviors. And people who are successful, and I don't mean just financially, people who are successful in their health, their relationships, charitable contributions, they have consistent, successful patterns that are constructive towards being successful. After I got into real estate and I traveled the world, I ended up buying the franchising rights for Remax for the state of Indiana. And I was 26 years old.
Wow.
And I bought the franchising rights for Indiana, moved to Indiana.
Wow.
And I remember being interviewed for the Indianapolis Business Journal. And the guy said, what are your goals here in Indiana? 26 years old, I was wearing, I remember a brown pinstripe suit. And I had glasses on, even though I didn't need glasses. I just wanted to look older. And I said, we'll do $1 billion in sales in Indiana. And the gentleman said to me, says, are you certain of that? I said, well, that's my goal. He says, well, the two largest companies that have been here for 100 years don't do $100 million, $1 billion combined. And my cocky young self, I said, well, we'll be the first.
They're not me.
Yeah. 3 weeks later, the Indianapolis Business Journal, and I have it at home, it says, sets $1 billion goal.
Wow.
May 1992, we hit $1 billion in sales 5 years later. One of the things that I was taught playing sports was repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the mother of skill, which is another lesson that I learned at a very young age. Why does any piano coach, guitar coach, coach for sports have their students repeat drills over and over and over and over again, whether it's layups or free throws or playing, certain chords on the guitar or on the piano? Why is repetition so important? The answer is because when you repeat a pattern over and over and over again, whether it's a language pattern, an emotional pattern, or a behavioral pattern, when you repeat it over and over and over and over again, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, 200 times, 500 times, 1,000 times, you actually are creating patterns in the brain that initially go from being conscious patterns, patterns that require effort and intention and attention, your conscious mind, to patterns that become non-conscious, that require less energy and less attention because it's been repeated so many times it becomes second nature. You have to use intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So you have to
start everybody off, Will, why is it important for you to be able to develop these new beliefs? Like, what will your life be like if you had them right now? What would your family life be like? You have to give them a benefit that's greater than the switch cost.
That's interesting.
Right? So the switch cost is something that our brain resists. The only human that likes change is a wet baby. Every other human being is resistant to it because safety first and homeostasis and energy conservation. So we are biologically wired not to want to change. So we have to deliberately coax the brain into motivational reasons, emotional reasons. You have to have intrinsic reason. Why must you do this? And so you can use pain as a frame as well. So if you don't, then are you okay with your life being like this at this age in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? And if you're okay with that, then you're not a candidate for change. But if you're committed to letting go of the old so you can create the new, and you create motivations every day, that's where the power is. Remember earlier, progress, not perfection. So anybody can do 1 minute or 10 seconds. So if you can start to formulate a habit, a daily habit, a weekly habit, it doesn't matter how long it is. If you can create that space in your brain that on this day, at this time, this is what I do, and you do that repeatedly, that becomes a habit. And it takes those 66 days or so for a simple habit that you have to consciously do to then the habit doing you. For the last, 35 years, what I've been doing is I've had coaches for skill training. I've had coaches and mentors for mindset training. I've had coaches on brain training. I've had coaches for business skills and training. I've had coaches and mentors and experts for every different area of my life, whether it's health, nutrition, business, money, investing, getting out of debt, making more money, protecting your assets. There are experts for every single area of our lives that already know what you need to do. If you're going to be uncomfortable, your reward has to be big.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you're going to be making a change, ask yourself, why is what I want to achieve so important to me? Why am I willing to use my new willpower and persistence? And why am I willing to go through the discomfort of change? Why am I willing to listen to the negative talk that I have or the emotion that I have and still do it anyway? And if you don't have a big enough reason, the first time you have a chance for an excuse, you'll take it. And that's why they start on diets, and after a day or a week or 2 weeks, they're off the diet. Or they say, you know what, I'm not happy in my relationship. And 2 weeks later, they're back with the same person, or they find another person just like the one that they left. Or people are afraid to leave their jobs because they don't like the discomfort of change.
Yeah.
Well, the only certain thing in the universe, the only constant is change.
Yeah, every time, change.
Everything, that's the only constant in the universe. It's an oxymoron. It's like, how can change be the only constant, the only stable thing? Because everything's changing. So why not acquire the skill
to change every time?
To be comfortable in change. And in today's era...
To be comfortable with the incomfort.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so I know that the meaning that I give, remember I said you have to reframe things?
Yes.
The meaning I give things now is when I'm uncomfortable, I'm changing and I'm growing and I go, yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's uncomfortable, but this is what I want.
Yeah.
Right? And then so we go through these waves of comfort and change, and that's just like the waves of life. Every morning when you wake up, you have, let's say it's 10 attention units. If you're using 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of them on why you can't,
unit? What do you
an
mean?
attention unit is your ability to stay focused. And your ability to stay focused is happening at the conscious and non-conscious level. So if you're processing stuff in the back of your mind of something you're angry at, something you're mad at, something that's stressing you out, or you don't have enough money, or you don't have the right relationships or the contacts, or whatever, if you're stressing out about that stuff and that's eating up your attention units, that's like having your computer, okay, using up most of its energy in what's behind that you're not using. Yeah. And we all have a certain amount of attention units every day. And so one of the things that you asked me before that I can come back to on the rituals is using the attention units in a way that is highly, highly productive versus wasting a lot of time. And so my ritual, we started earlier, I just remembered that, is wake up, meditation, exercise, plant-based protein smoothie, followed by reviewing my goals.
Every day you review your goals?
Every day, 5 minutes.
The goals for the day, the month, the year?
Everything. Yeah. I review my overarching goals. Wow. I could do that fairly quickly because that's my longer range goals. I can review the emotions that I want because I'm committed to having those emotions every day and feeling a certain way every day. And then I take a look at from 5 years out, 3 years, 1 year, 90 days, 60 days to today.
Wow.
And so I just review it. And what happened? On a piece
of paper, the iPad,
laminated, and on my computer.
Really?
Yeah. And I have it in a booklet also. Really? So when I travel, it's really easy.
Do you have it with you?
No. It's a pretty big.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. It's like a little manual.
You'll have to send me a photo so I can see it.
Yeah, I'll send you. It's called My Exceptional Life Blueprint.
I like it.
And so the question many people may ask is why? Why would you do that? Well, because you're having 35 to 50,000 thoughts a day, right? And your brain isn't certain like what's really important and what's not. Yeah. But if you instruct your brain that something is really important, whether it's something you don't want or something you do, it will actually pay attention to you.
Right.
So by priming my brain early every day, here is what I want you to focus on. Here are the emotions I want you to express through me. Here's the behaviors that I need to take. Then I am on a daily basis setting the course for what I want my brain to focus on. I'm cognitively priming the pump. And if I do it one day, that's great. If I do it 60 days, 100 days, my brain goes, hey, I'm just going to make this freaking automatic because I want to conserve energy. Right? I'm just going to make it automatic. So not only will you focus on it consciously, but I'm just going to make everything happen behind the scenes to help you see, think, and feel things that are congruent with what you're trading your life for and what you want to achieve. So I'm just using the system better. On my epitaphs, he lived, he loved, he gave, he had fun. I always thought that if there's a way that I could somehow use my life in a way that I can make somebody else's life a little bit easier to live, either through knowledge or understanding or love or a process, then my life has been worthwhile. And so I just want to make a difference. And I'm one of the people that doesn't believe that there's anything wrong in the world. Everything's unfolding exactly as it should. There are many things not to my taste that I don't understand, but I just want to make the journey as good as I can for as many people as I can. There was actually a very, very big mistake in the movie The Secret.
Okay.
And in the movie The Secret, the story that was told was that all you have to do is think, believe in your heart, and you'll achieve. It's not true. There's a lot of people who think wonderful, great thoughts. They believe that I deserve this and I can have this. But they don't do one thing. And this is what causes their problem. You know what that one thing is?
I want to know.
They don't take consistent action every day. So in The Secret, they didn't talk about you have to do the right things in the right order at the right time. And they led a lot of people to believe that all you have to do is think about it. Well, I've never met a monk in a monastery who's been praying to make money, and through the ceiling, a safe falls with $1 million. I've never met that yet. But I have met a lot of people who think and believe, and then they learn what they need to learn. They upgrade their knowledge and their skills. They overcome their fears. They overcome their doubts. They overcome their lack of confidence. They overcome their lack of certainty, and they take action anyway, and then little by little,
things start to happen for them. They achieve the results. And we call that the law of Goya, Goya, get off your ass. So law of attraction.
It's my favorite law.
Law of attraction and law of Goya together, that's what works. When it comes to the problems that come up every day, I mean, it's like weather. Mm-hmm. It's sunny for a little bit, it's raining, it's hailing, it's windy, it's not. That's life. And that goes back to where we started a little bit earlier about the frames, is if you expect things to always be great, you're delusional. Mm-hmm. If you expect things to always be bad, that may be a little bit, that might happen. And so it's a matter of learning the frames and how do you frame stuff. So even when, I was going through this challenging times on a lot of fronts, the frame was still good. Habits run themselves. Their subconscious programs just run themselves. Most people don't take the time to become aware, what are my empowering habits? What are my disempowering habits? And then the next question is, well, how do I release this one? And how do I strengthen this one or create a whole new one? And what we're looking to do is build empowering habits that then run their course. When somebody tells me they've done everything, usually they've done everything that they're aware of doing. But there has to be something, if we go back to some brain research and some brain neuroscience findings, there's a part of the brain that chooses the goal that we want to achieve. And that's in the conscious part of the brain, and that's responsible for about 2 to 4% of what you see and what you do. Yeah. That's called the explicit memory system, or the declarative part of the brain. I can declare. So I'll give you an example. I could read a book, and 10 minutes later I could tell you what I've read in the book. I can declare everything that's in the book. I can tell you, you know what, this is a great book. I'm so excited. I'm so motivated, and I'm going to make $1 million. But if at the implicit level, beneath the conscious mind, at the implicit level, in secret, they say, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm smart enough. I don't know if I deserve to make $1 million. I don't have the right knowledge. I didn't go to college. I'm male, I'm female, I'm too young, I'm too old. If there's a disconnect between the implicit, the part of our brains that's the real you and me, the hidden part of our self-image, if there is a contradiction between my goal and even what I've learned and what I secretly believe to be true about myself, if there isn't the coherence between the two, the hidden self-image will always win. So one of the most important things is to create what I call is neural coherence, or coherence in the brain. And the best way to think about coherence in the brain is, imagine if you go to listen to a band, rock and roll band, jazz band, a classical band, whatever. And every player, or every musician is playing the music, but not in harmony.
Yeah, new style.
You're never going to have a beautiful symphony. So the way our brain works is, if we don't have the symphony at the different parts of the brain, we'll do some good things and some good actions, and then we'll do some things that will take away from that. And so what we want to have is coherence. Get the brain, the implicit and the explicit part of the brain, coherence, playing together in harmony, then moves the body into action consistently. Now we have flow. Now we have a way for us to take our ideas and take action consistently to achieve results. An hour a day to upgrade your mindset and your skill set. 1 hour a day is all you need to set aside to upgrade your beliefs, your habits, your attitude, your perceptions, your emotional management, and upgrade the skills that you need in order to play at the next level of success. So if you calculate 1 hour a day is 365 hours in a year, that equals 9 40-hour weeks. 9 40-hour weeks. After 1 year, you're really good. After 2 years, you're really, really good. After 3, 4, 5, 6 years of doing this every day, just upgrading your knowledge and skills with expert information and knowledge and strategies and tactics, you are in a whole different place in your life. So invest 1 hour a day to upgrade your mindset and your skill set so your action set, what you need to do, becomes automatic instead of something you have to consciously try to do every day. Because mindset plus skill set plus action set equals your results.
I've just come through a really challenging time. I was in business with one of my very best friends of 30 years. And we started a company together in 2006 or so. And he ended up with severe diabetes and had a stroke and had a heart attack. And it went, everything just went hell in a handbasket. Lost lots of money, lots of employees. We had about 70 plus employees. We let them go, closed the company down. I had friends of mine who put $2 million into the deal. I put a couple $1 million into the deal. And it was, all my intellectual property that I developed over 6 years was basically held up in a legal lawsuit that I had with one of my shareholders and investors. And it was a very challenging time.
Wow.
It was reputation, IP, start from scratch,
assets,
relationships,
everything.
Yeah, lots. So it was a challenging, very, very challenging time. And fortunately, because of my meditative practices, staying aware of what is, not buying too much into that, I just started building a new company over the last 4 years, and I've got 30 amazing team members now at our company at NeuroGym. My relationship with my wife is great. My kids are awesome. My health has never been better. I became vegan about 5 years ago. Stopped drinking alcohol 7 years ago. Gave up sugar about 3 weeks ago.
Let me know how long you keep it up.
I made a decision now. It's a year. So the
1 year, no
decision is
sugar.
1 year. 1 year, no refined sugar.
Sweets. Yeah.
No refined sugar. If
there
happens to be honey on,
Right.
on something, then a little bit's fine. But no refined sugar. No cookies, no cakes, no chocolate bars,
Oh my gosh.
no soft
Let me
drinks,
know how it goes.
nothing. Well, right now I don't have any cravings whatsoever. Zero.
Wait till the holidays.
Zero. You know what? I just came back from Montreal, and I was there for the holidays, and the dessert table was about as big as this, and I just said no. And a week before, actually 4 days before that, I was in Las Vegas at Encore at the buffet, and I actually took a video of everything that was there, and I said, now, what I did beforehand is I pre-committed. Before I went to Las Vegas, I said, now, when I go to the buffet, here's what I will do. When I go to this restaurant, here's what I will do. So I pre-committed in advance, played it over in my mind 10, 15, 20 times, put myself in the situation in my mind. And then when I was there, it was
no big
easy,
deal.
breezy, because I'd done it
You visualized
10, 20, 30 times. So I did that. And so when I went to Montreal, usually I go to Montreal and all hell goes loose. My mother, is always
baking
been,
every day. She's
not
got-
anymore. My sister's taken over.
Oh, yeah.
So the, the food that's there and the desserts that are there,
The
breakfast.
poutine there too. I love poutine.
Oh yeah,
So
you can go
good.
dessert, but the desserts for me was the hardest part. But it was like easy breezy.
It's I own my feelings and my emotions and my results. I own my feelings, my emotions, and my results. I learned how to be responsible, to be able to respond to emotions that are unpleasant, to feelings that are, yucky. I learned that whatever was happening in my world, I had the ability to upgrade my skill so that I can use everything that happens in a way that serves me as opposed to a way that hurts me or moves me back. Any conflicts that you are experiencing is going to create neural dissonance in your brain. It's just going to create chaos in your brain. And so if you take it out of your head and you put it on a sheet of paper, you can look at it, and now you're one step removed from what's happening in your brain. And so the more you can be in coherence, it's the equivalent of being part of a band that's in harmony, that every player is just like, oh man, this just sounds so good. Well, the more you can be in coherence, the more you're going to be in flow, and the more you're going to take action. The more chaos there is in the brain, neural chaos, whether it's because of emotions, you're lacking something, there's conflict, there's resistance, the more you can get it out into the in front of you and open and say, well, what's causing this? There's a misconception
that business is easy. And I have a lot of clients of mine, for example, that are doctors and lawyers and professionals that have an expertise in a certain area. But nobody's ever taught them about finance, about legal, if they're not a lawyer, about marketing, about sales,
Management.
about technology, about operations, about management. And being an entrepreneur is like solving a Rubik's Cube,
Yes, I see that.
right? So you can have the 2x2 with 2 colors, it's easy. If you want a little bit bigger business, that's 3x3. There's more combinations and more things that need to be considered. 4x4 now has billions of different moves. Just 4x4 is billions of different possibilities.
Wow.
When you get to the 8x8 or 16x16 Rubik's Cube, there's quintillions of possible moves that you can make. So building a business is all about recognizing patterns and knowing which move to make at the right time. Did you know that some of the most recent studies on setting goals and writing them out or typing them out on your computer will actually increase your chances of achieving those goals by up to 42%? Why? Well, as soon as you put the energy to writing out your goals and getting clarity, you're giving your brain the instruction that this is what's important to you. This is what you want to achieve. So don't be like all the other people where they have goals and dreams and they hope and pray for it to work. Be the type of person who sets her goals or his goals in writing and then focus on that every day and you'll achieve more of your goals. Every brain has a fat set point. And it basically states that you have a set point, just like a thermostat that's programmed in a room to have a set point. We have fat set points. We have financial set points. We have relationship set points. We have these set points that we become accustomed to achieving. And then all of the supporting evidence, the stories, the themes, the plot lines, the perceptions and behaviors all must match the set point. And so you can ask yourself 2 questions. Number one is, how did that set point get there? And then how do I change it? Right? So how it got there is through all of your conditioning, through what you've read, what you've done, what you've experienced, what you've been told, what you've seen. All of that has created your financial set point based on your story. And so the first thing to recognize is the set point can be changed. And the question is how? Right? And that's the $1 million question. So number one, what drives behavior more than anything else? It's not skill. It's not knowledge. Skill and knowledge is potential power, but what does drive behavior more than anything else is beliefs. And so if there is a belief in the brain that says, yes, I think I'm capable of achieving double my income. We'll just use double my income. But there's another belief that opposes that. That causes what we know as neural dissonance. So it creates a chaotic vibration in the brain between the conscious and non-conscious mind. So the key is to get alignment between the new goal, which is a conscious pattern of thought that you can choose in an instant, and the non-conscious part of the brain around that goal. So how do you develop a belief, right? So it's a pattern. So if I gave you a sentence and you said that sentence one time, you probably, great, it'd be a sentence like one. That was like hearing a line in a song one time. But if you heard a line in a song repeatedly 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and you had other associations with that to reinforce that pattern, then you would start to develop a non-conscious pattern through that. So we know that using, let's say, visualization, you're actually bypassing the conscious mind and you're accessing the visual cortex of the brain. It's a non-conscious process, the visual processor. And so if we take words and we affirm them and we feel them and we visualize them and repeat them 100, 200, 500, 1,000 times, now we start to create a pattern at the non-conscious level that basically reinforces a conscious desire. A lot of people ask me about money all the time. It's one of the things we teach people how to do is grow their businesses and how to make more money. And they say, well, I want to make more money. I said, well, in order to make more money, first you have to believe that you can, right? Then you have to believe you deserve it. Then you have to make sure that you have something that you can earn money with. So it's either going to be your ideas. You can sell your ideas. You
like
can
a trainer.
Like a trainer. You can sell your time.
you can sell your products, you can sell your services, which means that you have to have some skill. Or you have to have somebody else who could do it for you.
You have to see your skill, right?
Well, you have to either see your skill or determine what skills are needed.
Okay.
And if you don't have
Okay.
it, get somebody else who has it to help you. And so when somebody tells me I want to make more money, I say to them, let's say we have a pen. I don't have a pen here, but if we had a pen
Yes.
and we wanted to make money, we could go and find somebody who wants to buy this pen
Yeah.
right now. And how much is somebody willing to pay for the pen? Well, if the pen is worth $1, maybe you can get $1 for it. But what about finding somebody who needs it because they have to sign a contract that's due in 10 minutes? That person might pay $100 for that pen.
Yeah.
So our job is to take, our skills, our knowledge, our products, our services, our abilities, and to be able to present it to people who need it and want it in exchange for money.
I think feeling and knowing that you've used your life in a way that makes yourself proud, that you're proud of. You felt like, what a journey, and I left it all out on the field. I just left it all on the field. That's my own greatness, is knowing that I used my life in a way that I left it all out on the field, that the bruises, the bangs, the trials, the tribulations, the highs, the lows, that you used it.
As soon as you blame, shame, or justify, you are disempowering yourself instead of being responsible for your emotions, your feelings, your attitude, and your actions. When you take responsibility, then you are not at the mercy of the outside world and what happens in the outside world. You learn how to upgrade your emotional ability. So whether you're happy or sad or disgusted or frustrated or angry or fearful, you know how to navigate the emotions that causes either the motivational center in your brain to light up or the fear center in your brain to light up, thereby causing you to stop and procrastinate and not take action. Everybody can be an entrepreneur, but I don't want anybody to go and be an entrepreneur who's got a lot of passion, for a product or a service or something that they love without realizing that there are many hats that you have to wear. Right? There's the person who has to know all the little details. There's the person who has to have the vision. There's the person who has to manage. There's the person who has to create the strategies and the tactics of what to do. Then there's the person who has to drive those forward. Those are 6 different things that have to be done, just different hats in a business that most entrepreneurs aren't aware of.
Yeah.
And so they start and they're busy and they're working really hard. And they go, God, this is hard.
Yeah.
And it is hard. And they think that they have to do it all themselves. And that's not the truth.
Yeah, you have to learn to delegate, right?
Yeah. Well, you can delegate, you can partner with people, you can barter with people. There's a variety of different ways to do it. But first you have to know what you don't know.
It's not easy.
Well, it's not easy if you're the one trying to figure it out. But if you talk to somebody or hire somebody who's an expert, they'll tell you in seconds. It's like, when you came over here, and you're setting up all your cameras and your lights and all that stuff, you did that in 15 minutes. If I was to do that, it would take me 15 days. Because you're playing at this.
Yeah.
You've done 150 interviews now, right?
Yes.
And so you already know, you've learned 150 times and a setup and takedown and mistakes and what to do right, what to do wrong, what you need to have backups for, what to do for editing, for lighting, for daytime, for nighttime, for clouds, if the voice works, if the sound. There's hundreds of things you have to learn just for this.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have to be an excellent interviewer too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's so many things that you didn't know when you first started this that now you know. So imagine if I wanted to do what you do, I could say, well, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and figure out which cameras to buy and which lighting to buy and how many batteries do I need and how many wires do I need and how many plugs do I need for the walls and how many backup systems do I need. I could try to figure all that out. I could say to you, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you give me a list of what to do, what not to do, what to buy, what not to buy, how much it should be, where I should buy it? You could say, yeah, I could do that in 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
I could save months, if not a year of my time and
emotion,
money.
and everything.
Right. And so I much prefer to find the specialized knowledge and pay for that and just apply it.
If you don't understand that every brain has an error detection mechanism within it, okay, what is that? Anytime you veer out of your comfort zone, the fat point setting or the financial setting, anytime you veer out of it, the first line of defense is self-talk that's negative. That's the first thing that pops up because your brain is going, that's not true. So it's detecting an error between what you said as an affirmation or even what you just visualized or even what you just did against the predominant neural patterns that exist. So it's an 800-pound gorilla initially fighting the flea, right? Dan Heath's book. And so what we want to do is we want to get the conscious goal, the vision, aligned with the non-conscious pattern. And as soon as you align that, you have neural coherence. And when you have neural coherence, that's like hearing your most favorite band playing your favorite song, and you're just like, oh, that's the best.
Bliss, yeah.
It's just bliss.
Yeah.
If it's not bliss, you're out of coherence. And so the key, and why we start off early with meditation, is awareness of how do I tune in my vibration? How do I let go of that unempowered self-talk, that sentence, that thought that I had, or that disempowering? It's an unpleasant feeling. Beliefs aren't good or bad. They're only pleasant to unpleasant at varying degrees. When we're out of coherence, it's unpleasant unless our life is on the line and safety is there. For the most part, a fear of failing, where's that coming from? We failed our whole lives successfully.
Yeah, exactly.
But the meaning that we're giving, what people will say, what people will think, how I'll be embarrassed or ashamed, those are all the things that you need to really get in tune with.
Yeah.
Every level of success that you want to achieve in health, wealth, relationships, career, business, etc., requires a new understanding of a skill and a new behavioral pattern. What got you to where you are is not enough to get you to where you want to go. Why do I say that? Because if it was enough to get you to where you want to go, you would already be there. So what got you here will not get you there. Maybe some stepping stones, but every level of success requires a new level of skill and behavior. And I'm going to go back to one of the other lessons. Since we develop beliefs and habits and behaviors that go from conscious effort to non-conscious habits, in order to achieve the next level of success, you have to learn how to create new habits of thought, new emotional management skills, and new behaviors to match the level of success that you want to achieve.
Because I felt dumb, I read thousands of books and did hundreds of courses. And because I didn't feel like I was smart enough, I took the thing that could have, made my life a mess and turned it into my fuel for success. And because I lived with parents that didn't have a great marriage, I ended up divorcing twice. But because of all of those things, I studied and researched and dove deep into who do I need to be to have a great relationship? What communication skills must I have?
One of my keys to success was that the path of least resistance is to learn from somebody who's already achieved the success you want to achieve. I always looked for experts that already tried 1,000 things and found the 1 or 2 things that actually work. So I've taken a shortcut. And that's why I was able to become a multimillionaire before I was 30. I just followed individuals that were worth over $100 million. I followed people that were healthy, that figured out all the stuff that doesn't work and gave me the blueprints, the map of what did work. So I went to specialized knowledge versus information.
If you want another amazing John Assaraf video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
If you think about what makes up who we are. So obviously there's genetics. There's our genetic makeup. So our predisposition, our propensities.